Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to some Vault Hunters, doing a quick video today to talk about the early game progression, the path that I'm choosing to go with my first skill and my first knowledge points, and just to talk about all of these things a little bit now that I've actually put in some time playing and some experience and seeing exactly what's up in the current alpha version. Right now we're on 0.4 or version 4.1, I guess is what they call it these days. So we're just going to jump on in here and take a look at my skills. So the first skill, I think I've talked about this before, everybody's probably talked about this, the most important skill is heal. And then after that, my preference is definitely going over to speed. Inside the vault, speed kind of rules all, as you're able to move between the rooms and around the rooms with greater efficiency, just getting more mileage out of everything pretty much. Just you've only got a limited amount of time when you're in each vault, and the faster that you can move from point to point, the better. And it seems that at this point right now, the loot drops in the low levels are pretty lackluster. Either they'll get bumped up, or that's where the team wants them to be and they just want you to push forward in the levels a little bit further. So that as it may be a little bit more prudent to get some power for killing the mobs faster with strength, but I really don't know that at all. The next points, again, along this whole movement theme, is dash. That's going to be like my third highest priority. Being able to get up a level really quickly, being able to dash out of harm's way, like get away from some bad situation quickly, is pretty nice. The specialization here with bullet is actually quite good as well. It does reduce the distance, I think. 3, 4, this goes 3, 4. No, it just increased the mana cost. So instead of costing 6, it costs 10 to do the bullet, where you'll get some point, or you'll get some incidental damage if you happen to be dashing through mobs. I think I'll be speccing into that when I get a better weapon, because I'm still stuck on a diamond sword, believe it or not, even 6 levels into the game at this point. The next important ability I did want to talk about is Hunter, with the Observer specialization, so that you can run from room to room looking for monoliths, or the obelisks if you're going for a boss kill. Completing the vaults is probably your biggest jump in completion, like your rewards for doing the vaults, aside from getting a bounty table. So this guy right here, he's pretty expensive. This guy here, he's pretty expensive, requires a block of netherite, so you need 9 netherite ingots to get that, but it's definitely well worth it, as once I kill 11 skeletons, I'm going to get 3 pieces of gear and an orb of regret. Other things, you can get lots of chromatic iron, extra Larimar, bronze, more vault diamonds, more Larimar, some vault alloy for crafting your gear, which you'll definitely be doing as you get a little bit further into the vaults. But just have to be careful on picking and choosing which ones. Like, I probably should have taken this one first, because we'll get vault essence in all of the vaults, whereas these skeletons only spawn in certain vault types, right? I haven't seen skeletons in the last 2 or 3 vaults that I've run since I got the bounty table. But yeah, bounty table for getting extra rewards is second to actually completing the vaults, which is why I feel that the Hunter Observer is the next best thing. And going back to the rest of the next one that I'm going to be picking up here now is going to be the Vein Miner. and I can't find it because I'm dumb. I will be picking up the vein miner here now with my unspent skill point, not because I want to mine 4 blocks at a time, but because I want to pick up the specialization for fortune. Just because now that we can get a skill point, or a knowledge point, sorry, I've finally gotten the resources together to actually put together a knowledge star. We're going to need some of these resources that we've been collecting inside the vaults. I always take a silk touch pick into the vaults with me and bring out the blocks, and that was in anticipation of this moment where I actually have the point left over to get into the fortune upgrades so that we can just get more bang for a buck for each of these ores that we are mining. Even though Larimar and like chromatic iron is quite plentiful in the game at this point right now, it might be a bottleneck at some point in the future. We just don't know right now, and I kind of know from watching some more advanced players that, you know, you open up a mod like Create or something like that, and it'll chew through all of the Larimar that you'd been saving up for a long time. So that's why getting fortune as early as before we start breaking down too much of this is the next step. Now I'm on level 6 now, as we can see down there. By the time I get up to level 10, I'll save up all 4 of those points, and I'm actually going to go for speed 2 here, because I do feel that speed is the penultimate ability right now. So that's going to cost us 4 points, and it opens up at level 10. So this has all kind of been planned out from the start. I just wasn't sure on whether or not I was going to get a couple of other things in here that I'll talk about quickly right now. Stonefall, I am horrible at clutching, but I just don't put myself in that position where I need to clutch very often, and thus I don't feel that I need it, and I'll just try my luck sometimes here and there for it. But Stonefall would be something for those of us boomers that don't have quite the reflexes anymore, or didn't have them in the first place. That'll help alleviate those fears there. And then the other thing to consider would be a skill that gives you a little bit of time as you approach each of the points of interest to take out the spawner if it doesn't happen to be one of the kinds of spawners that the ambush spawners or fizzle spawners. So there we've got a few different options. The taunt with the fear specialization will work, because that'll give you 4 seconds of time for the mobs not attacking you, for you to be able to break the spawner before they get you. There's the Ghost Walk. This will give you 2 seconds of ability and of or like invulnerability, so that one's probably not so good. But I think as you level that up, that'll get a little bit better and might be more efficient on the mana cost in the long term. And then the third option that you would have would be the Frost specialization on Nova, which would give you 5 seconds of freezing all of the enemies around you, and just has a little bit more of a limited radius, whereas the Fear... the Fear is the same radius as well, right? And what's this distance? Okay, pushing back. Yeah, you can push mobs back off ledges and such as the other thing. So those are the other 2 shoutouts that, you know, if you don't like getting the Hunter Observer, if you don't concern yourself with completing the vaults as much as I do, maybe you can pick up one of those, you know, the Stonefall or the buy you time abilities. Mana Shield, we'll talk about some of the more mid-game options which are in here, but for the early game, first 10 levels, those are my thoughts on those. And then let's just talk about our first knowledge point. So in here, there's a few things that we could choose from. We could save our first one and just get the second one and unlock simple storage. This is probably your first storage option here. I did take an in-depth look at Colossal Chests. Storage drawers are neat, but the cost on the drawer controller itself is quite prohibitive, and you probably want to wait until you're probably like level 20 before you're looking at, well, between 15 and 20 before you're picking this up, because it's going to cost you a pog to get in there, and you're going to have to, give yourself the time to find all of those player gems, which are quite rare when you're in the early stages of the games. Like the ore points of interest pretty much won't have any of those player gems for quite a while, so you'd be relying on stumbling across like the crystal caverns or the other type of omega rooms that have the ores in them to be able to find enough of the player gems to get your drawer controller. Drawers are still pretty useful outside of having the drawer controller. It's just a little bit more clumsy for putting all of your stuff away. I took an in-depth look at Colossal Chests here because I really like the meme value of them, and right now at the Christmas season they do appear exactly like, the wooden ones appear exactly like this one, this thing here. So it would have a giant present in our base, as well as it would have like you could put one input and output, and then just, when you come out of a vault, you can put your shulker box or whatever on top of a hopper that goes into, say, the input part. What's the interface? You just have a hopper going into the interface, and then you put your shulker box on top of it, and it would load everything into the Colossal Chest. The bad thing about the Colossal Chests is how resource intensive they are. So one of these Colossal Chests walls takes up 4 chromatic iron and 4 driftwood. At this stage right now, I have almost enough driftwood. I'm just a little bit shy on building myself one of the 3x3x3 Colossal Chests. That's looking at just about 100 there. Chromatic iron's definitely not a problem because we can always find that in the world, or if we stumble across one of the chromatic iron caves inside the vault, just dedicate one vault just to grabbing all of those there. But the driftwood's another story because you do have to hit up quite a number of wooden chests to get those. Where it does get super prohibitive though is that to get up to like the iron level, you do have to upgrade to the bronze level first. You can't just jump from the wood to the iron, or not bronze, sorry, copper. And these take a block of copper for each one that you want to make. So if we're going to be making a 3x3x3, which, the wooden version gives us 729 storage slots, which is about 13.5 double chests. I mean, right here I've got 10 there, plus one hidden down there, one hidden down there, 12. So this chest array right here, which basically just costs us a little bit of wood, not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, especially if you're growing, 2x2 spruce trees, would require almost 1,000 pieces of copper and then 1,000 pieces of iron on top of that to get to the iron level. That would double the number of slots that you get in your Colossal Chest. However, 1,000 is a really big number. 1,000 iron isn't so bad because we've got this iron farm going right here. I just have to start it back up because I've got it turned off at the moment. And we get to the 1,000 iron pretty quickly, but the 1,000 copper is a little bit of a bottleneck. I think I've got too much copper at this point right now, and I've really only got like 2 stacks, which, that's only 1/10 of what we need. Well, maybe 1/8, right? So unfortunately, Colossal Chests is kind of we're priced out of getting Colossal Chests at this point right now, so that's not exactly the option that I'll be going for. The obvious first choice for our first knowledge point is the pouches mod, because this will just make looting in the vaults that much faster. Just to note that getting the pouches mod will increase the cost of all of these others by 2. So this won't cost 1. The double pouches won't cost 1. It'll cost 3 in total when we want to upgrade to double pouches a little bit later. Storage mods, taking any of these storage mods doesn't increase the cost of the others, so that's not so prohibitive over there. But like I said, if we're going to be getting into power, then each of these increases by 6, which is huge. The other 2 that I considered was doing waystones. Although now that I have an elytra, I don't think waystones is such a huge deal. Maybe a little bit later when I get other kinds of farms set up, like, well, maybe I'll get a wither skeleton farm, which requires having a fortress in a soul sand valley, which, you know, having that combination of things together doesn't occur so often. So maybe we'll want to have waystones for getting in and out of that. As well as maybe getting together an Enderman farm for, you know, repairing our gear, some of our gear with mending, or just getting lots and lots of Ender pearls for surfing or for getting around the vault quicker. We might want to get waystones, but for a first option, I don't think it's the best. The next one was the vault compass, just because I'm pretty bad, even with me physically writing down the map of the vault when I'm going through it. I still get lost in there, so that's probably going to be the next on my list for options. But it takes 4 pieces of netherite to get there. So the vault compass takes 4 pieces of netherite. I don't have that right now, so I'm going to steer away from that just at the beginning here, and I am going to be going for pouches. I've got the rabbit farm set up so the rabbit hides aren't that hard. The magic silk is coming in pretty good with running the vaults normally, and then we just have to worry about getting these 2 upgrades to make the pouches useful. We'll need 2 magnets, a sticky piston, which, if you don't know, you can find slime chunks pretty easily by use of Zero's minimap. You can see on the minimap here, just over in that direction there, there's 2 slime chunks side by each over there. You just have to pay attention to the spawning rules of the slimes. What I did is I've over near my I've got a stairway down to my mining over there, and there's a slime chunk actually right on top of that stairway. So I just built a slime farm down there, and it produces pretty nicely. It's, you know, I went down there, I got 1 big slime, and I got, you know, enough slime to last me for this moment right now. But yeah, the pickup upgrade will be necessary, because then when we look at the chests, we just have to throw them out of the chest and they'll land in our pouch. And if you set up the pouch properly, it'll save slots for you. So, you know, you can have all of your required things going into your pouches, and then stack upgrade you can get either right away or a little bit later on if you're running low on your vault diamonds. That'll just increase the amount that you can hold in each of your pouches, so that you don't have, you know, common items like torches or sticks, something like that, really clogging up all of your inventory if you're looking to go real fast. So yeah, I will be picking up the pouches mod. So we're going to need to get 3 perfect Larimar there, plus 2 more perfect Larimar there. So that's kind of the other reason why I wanted to get that fortune going right away, so that these we can get our, you know, little bit more bang for the buck, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, a little bit more mileage out of each of these Larimar ores that I've mined up. Anyways, that's everything I wanted to talk about in this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned. I'll be doing live streams for more vaults, but I will be doing a lot more off camera now that I'm kind of, into that early game now, level 6, and probably, try to make sure that I make a point of showing, each of the stages. Like once we get up to, say, level 10, 11, around in there, I'll be trying to showcase a few more vaults in there, and each of those stages around, every 5 levels or so, showing do a live stream with a few vault runs in there, just to kind of see how things are progressing for me and how the loot is starting to change in all of the chests and such out there. Anyways, I appreciate you all for checking out the episode, and we will see you all in the next one.